Good morning, and I want to thank BIA for giving me an opportunity to introduce you all to SJI and to talk about all the things that we're doing now on the clean energy front. So let me start with SJI at a glance. For those of you that are not familiar with SJI, we are an energy services holding company. At our core, we are an infrastructure company, and we are committed to producing and delivering the decarbonized energy of the future. We have two primary subsidiaries. The first is SJI Utilities. That's where we house our two natural gas utilities serving the state of New Jersey. Just over 700,000 customers split between two utilities, South Jersey Gas Company, which primarily serves the 7 southernmost counties of New Jersey, and then Elizabethtown Gas, which actually has 2 geographic territories, the first in the suburbs of New York, the Elizabeth, Linden, Rahway area of the state, and then the second is the long stretch that runs along the Delaware River called our Northwest Territory that stretches from the Delaware Water Gap down into Hopewell. On the non-utility side of the business, we have 2 primary subsidiaries, one of which is a wholesale marketer that provides supply and energy management services to large end users. And then we also have an energy production business that is focused on developing, owning, and operating renewable energy production facilities. And I'll talk a little bit more about them in a minute. But before I do, let me go back to what I started with, which is that SJI and our subsidiaries are infrastructure companies, right? Utilities do not make any profit on the actual physical commodity that we deliver, whether it be electricity or natural gas. Our investment or our returns are on the investments we make to deliver that energy to businesses and households in New Jersey. So it's on the infrastructure. In our case, it's on the mains and distribution systems that we have underground that enable us to take the gas off the interstate pipelines and deliver to your homes and businesses. On the non-utility side, as I mentioned, our infrastructure produces clean energy, decarbonized energy for ultimately for distribution. Why do I say that, and why is that important? Well, it's important because as an infrastructure company, we're agnostic to what the molecular content is of the energy that's going through our pipes. Meaning that if there are opportunities out there for us to either A, lower consumption, right, through increased efficiency, or B, decarbonize the natural gas stream, again, we're committed to doing that, but more than that, we're incented to do that, right? It is in our best interest to make the investments that can decarbonize the gas stream. And I'll talk a little bit more, and you'll hear more about some of those ways, both through my presentation and others. But again, why is that important? Well, the reality is that 75+% of homes and businesses in New Jersey rely on natural gas, right? So from our perspective, there is an infrastructure system that is highly efficient. It's safe, it's reliable, it's resilient, and it's underground. And we want to be able to use that energy system, that infrastructure to deliver the clean energy of the future. And as I go through the rest of my presentation, you'll see all the different ways that we're making that happen. We don't believe that natural gas is not our infrastructure. Let me say that again. We believe that our infrastructure is critical to the state achieving its goals in the energy master plan. And again, why is that the case? Because our infrastructure exists now. It's built, it's operating. And again, as we decarbonize the gas stream, right, we're actually accelerating the state's goals towards ultimate decarbonization. So at the utility, 2 areas where we're making meaningful investments to promote decarbonization. First is energy efficiency, right? The bottom line is that we use more energy than we need, right? That's just a function of efficiency. Our appliances are not 100% efficient, so there is waste. as you improve the efficiency of your appliances, as you make investments in your home to make it more energy efficient, you use less energy. Okay, less waste is less energy, is less demand, is less supply, right? And then it's also less cost for the consumer, and it's less pollution. Energy efficiency is the most immediate way to begin to make a meaningful impact on decarbonization. It's here, it's now, and it's immediate. I have some facts and figures, but I'd have to put my reading glasses on, and I really don't want to do that. But well, there they are. So I don't need my reading glasses. Our energy efficiency programs, which in partnership with the BPU in 2021 were increased substantially, are designed to provide rebates and incentives for customers to make investments in more energy efficient equipment and to make their homes more energy efficient. The result of that, as I mentioned, is the win-win. Over the lifespan of our programs, it'll result in $329 million of energy cost savings, and it'll reduce over 104 million therms of energy. That's a lot. It's a lot of energy. Obviously, you can see that when you translate it into the amount of savings. So what else is another key part of energy efficiency, right? So I went back to the fact that we, as utilities, our business is to put infrastructure in the ground and to maintain and operate that infrastructure as efficiently as possible. We, along with New Jersey Natural Gas, were two of the first utilities in the country to decouple. That means we've completely separated our profitability, right? That means that we are no longer incented, or our bottom line is no longer benefiting from how much customers us to make those investments to promote energy efficiency. Because again, if customers lose or use less energy, it does not impact our bottom line. That is a real meaningful development, and it is a trend now that you see all across the country. Proud to say that South Jersey Gas Company and New Jersey Natural Gas were among the first utilities to do that, again, in partnership with the BPU. Elizabethtown Gas, just in this past energy efficiency program that was approved last year, has now decoupled as well. So again, really great stuff from an energy efficiency. On the utility side, probably every bit as important are the investments we've been making in our infrastructure to modernize them. And what does modernization mean? Modernization means accelerating the replacement of our vintage, more vulnerable infrastructure that is more leak prone by definition. This is your bare steel and cast iron main, in many cases 50 to 75 years old. Replacing that with modern, resilient, right, plastic, substantially reducing the amount of fugitive methane emissions as a result of that more leak-prone infrastructure. What else does it mean? It means that this new modern infrastructure can deliver the clean energy of the future, right? It's the plastic that's going to be able to absorb the RNG and the green hydrogen that we intend on blending into the gas stream to achieve decarbonization. All right, on the non-utility side, I mentioned we're in the energy production business and we're in the clean energy, renewable energy production business. We do have a solar fleet. We have put solar on all of our operations so that we have significantly reduced the greenhouse gas emissions from all of our operations and all of our facilities. We also have a roughly 5 megawatt solar system and battery storage in Massachusetts that we brought online last year. And we just recently completed and brought online a solar, I think a 7 megawatt solar facility at a landfill in Florence, New Jersey. We also have 3 fuel cells in the city of New York, which are a very low carbon means to produce electricity. They serve, I think it's about 12.5 megawatts, or they produce 12.5 megawatts of electricity, serving customers in Staten Island and the Bronx. What are we most excited about, and how do we as a company see the complement between our non-utility and our utility business with respect to decarbonization? and it's in the emerging technologies, renewable natural gas and green hydrogen. On the renewable natural gas front, it's taking the methane from waste, whether that's wastewater treatment facilities, whether that is landfills, dairy farms, swine farms, food waste. It's taking that methane, and rather than it being flared or released into the atmosphere, it's capturing it, it's bringing it to pipeline quality, it's injecting it into our systems, blending it with geological natural gas, and substantially bringing down the carbon content of natural gas. So as an example, at a dairy farm, I'm going to get a little wonky here and I apologize, right? So natural gas has a CI, carbon intensity score of about 80. A dairy farm has a CI score or a carbon intensity score of about somewhere between -150 and -250, right? So the more dairy-based RNG you can inject into your system, the more you bring down the carbon intensity of the gas stream. That is why we are making substantial investments in RNG. And I'm proud to say that SJI is an industry leader on this front, specifically in the dairy space. We've got 10 projects right now that are under development that will come online in the first quarter of 2023. They're in Connecticut, New York, and Michigan. We've got 6 that are under construction in the Red River Valley, which is the Minnesota, Western Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota region. These are very large scale farms. Average dairy farm in New Jersey is probably 900 cows. These are 11,000 to 20,000 cows. They are producing a significant amount of manure, which results in a significant amount of RNG that will be directly injected into the interstate pipelines, again, bringing down the carbon content of the gas stream. All told, we've got a portfolio of over 40 dairy farms, primarily through Big Ten country, right? So it's in that kind of Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota area, Ohio. At the time that they all come online, we will be one of, if not the largest producers of dairy-based RNG in the entire country. Very, very proud of that fact. And again, it will have a substantial and meaningful impact on decarbonization across this country. We're also looking at opportunities in New Jersey. Probably going to come as a surprise to you. We don't have a lot of dairy farms in New Jersey. And those that we do are, again, they're very small, so they don't create the kind of scale where you can put this infrastructure in place. But we are actively looking and in various stages of negotiations with a handful of landfills, wastewater treatment facilities, and large food waste digesters in New Jersey, which again, I think will be ultimately directly injected into the various utilities throughout the state, and again, begin to bring down the carbon content of the natural gas. So things that are happening now, they are real, they are having an immediate impact, and they are going to have a substantial impact. And just real quick before I wrap up, green hydrogen. You'll hear a lot about green hydrogen. Again, very proud to say that right now we've got a pilot project in southern New Jersey where we are constructing a solar facility. We will use that solar power, run it through an electrolyzer. We'll split the hydrogen and the oxygen. We will actually directly inject small quantities, but we'll directly inject the hydrogen for blending into our system in South Jersey. So we will have in early 2023 an operational green hydrogen project in South Jersey. We also have a memorandum of understanding with Atlantic Shore Winds, which is one of the, as you know, was awarded one of the New Jersey, I don't know what we're calling them, the
wind farm?
The wind farms, yeah, the leases for the wind farms, along with Ørsted. So Atlantic Shores was awarded one of those leases, and we are partnering with them on a large scale green hydrogen project that will be physically located in southern New Jersey, and will take, again, that intermittent electricity that is, you know, by definition, what happens when you have a renewable source like wind. At the times when we don't need that energy, we'll take that energy, we'll run it through an electrolyzer or use it to power an electrolyzer, and we'll create green hydrogen in large scales, large quantities that will be directly injected into the system in southern New Jersey, blended with our geological natural gas again, to bring down the carbon content of the natural gas. So really exciting times at SJI. You know, it's I will end with this. You know, as a utility, it's been an interesting 5 years, right? Intellectual and strategic agility were not necessarily hallmarks of utility businesses, simply because, you know, our job was to deliver safe, reliable, affordable energy. That remains our job, and our priority. But at the same time, we are now challenged with helping to create the clean energy economy of the future. And for us as a company to be at the forefront of this, to be an industry leader in dairy RNG is an incredibly exciting time for us. So I can give you back 5 minutes, or I can answer questions.
I do have at least one question for you. My mic on? We're good. Really exciting you talk about RNG and, you know, hydrogen, you know, as it, you know, especially merging it with your existing infrastructure, makes perfect sense, at least to me. But what can our policymakers in New Jersey do to help facilitate that? Or are our policies contrary to your vision for a clean energy future?
No, I don't think that they're that it's adversarial in any way. I think that the commitment at the state level is to decarbonization. It's to create the clean energy economy of the future. I think that there's also a recognition in the state that natural gas is going to play a critical role in that as we move forward. So the conversations that I've had, both with the administration as well as with the BPU and with legislators, has been much more of a partnership, right? How can we work together to achieve the goals of the state? There is legislation in front of the state right now. I can't remember whether it got through the Senate or the Assembly. It doesn't matter. There is legislation that would allow utilities to rate base. Again, I'm going to get a little wonky, but to actually build, own, and operate RNG infrastructure, right? Utilities typically do not produce, right? We deliver energy. Perhaps the reimagining of utilities in the future is going to involve, right, localized production, because you're not going to move large amounts of green hydrogen in interstate pipelines. You're going to produce it locally for direct injection into utility systems. It's the same with RNG, right? A local landfill, if we do a project at Atlantic County or in Burlington County or Sussex County at a landfill, that's going to be directly injected into the system. To the extent that utilities are allowed to do that and to make those investments, it will serve the purpose of accelerating that development and accelerating that investment in renewable natural gas.
Thanks, appreciate it.
All right.